Hi there, I'm Dr. Stephanie Falk, and today I want to talk about intentionality as it relates to mental health and emotional well-being. I have a friend named Dave, and he's a complete foodie. Loves to read about food, loves to vlog about food, and I think best of all, taste food. Went on a trip, my husband and I and his wife and him, and we went to 6 different restaurants in one day. And it was definitely an adventure, had a ball of fun, but it was tough on my stomach. And I remember being at dinner one night, and his wife jokingly and lovingly kind of looked at her husband's plate and said something to the effect that, all I have to do is look at your plate and I'm going to gain the weight that you should be carrying around. And I remember that it was this funny, kind of unique comment, and it got me to consider intentionality around mental health. Because I think that for some of us, we have to be super intentional about mental health. Just like my friend's wife has to be really intentional about what she puts into her body to maintain the same size and shape, whereas her husband can kind of eat anything that he wants to eat and he maintains the same size and shape. And so some of us, as it relates to mental health, we need to be really careful about what we're doing preventatively to tolerate stressors and what we're doing to interact around distress in our life. Whereas other people can, I think, have a lot of different stressors throughout a day and they still maintain kind of an even keel. And I think it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes to consider, hey, I'm one of those people that needs to be really intentional around mental health. But I think understanding that, if that's the case for you, is incredibly helpful and empowering because it suggests, hey, wait, there's some things that I need to be doing in a preventative fashion. And so how do you know if you're one of those people that needs to be a little bit more intentional? I think there's a couple of indicators. And one of the indicators is when something distressing happens in the day, does it kind of set you off or unbalance you for a few minutes? Or is it something that lasts for an hour, 2 hours, or just kind of throws in a curveball and it affects your whole day in a negative way? I think that's a pretty good indicator. Are you mood reactive in that sense? Another good indicator is, does your mood tend to fluctuate quite a bit, day to day, week to week? And if that's the case, then I think that you're probably a little bit more inclined towards mood. And I don't think that there's any shame in that whatsoever. And unfortunately, I think our culture suggests, hey, there is some shame in that. I don't think that there has to be. I think everyone has something. Some people have weak ankles, and so they're more inclined to roll an ankle when they're playing sports, and they have to tape their ankle preventatively. That's the case for me. All growing up, I had to tape my ankle, or pretty much every other time I would play, I would sprain my ankle. Some people are more inclined to things such as headaches or maybe excitability, even around something that's happy. I think it's really important to understand ourselves and understand how do we function as it relates to having kind of an even kill or our baseline of mental health. Am I someone that tends to be a little bit more mood reactive or not? So hopefully I've given you a couple of indicators around what might identify you as being someone who's a little bit more mood reactive. And then I think that begs the question, right? So then what do I do about it? I think that you can do a couple of things. I think that you can continue to assess for yourself, okay, so do I have a toolkit for managing stress in my life? Do I have a way to respond to distressors on a day-to-day basis that's tried and tested, that I feel super good about and that I can employ? It's really important if you're someone that tends to need to be intentional and is somewhat mood reactive, to have a toolkit to try and test different ways of coping so that you can manage stressors as they come. Another thing that's incredibly important for people that tend to be a little bit more mood inclined is to do preventative measures, which I like to refer to as self-care. And so preventative measures are things that you can do on a day-to-day basis to help you establish a better overall baseline so that when stress comes up, you feel a little bit more empowered. It doesn't really impact you quite as much. And so that might look like maybe daily meditation in the morning, or self-affirmation, or connecting with a friend or a spouse every day, just kind of preventatively to help you establish a better overall baseline as it relates to emotional health and mental well-being. So I hope that this video has been helpful in helping you to consider this idea of some people just have to be a little more intentional, and there's no shame in that. And there's things that we can do preventatively, especially beefing up our coping skills and looking at preventative measures such as self-care, things that support and nourish us on a daily basis. Thank you for tuning in. If you don't want to miss a video, feel free to subscribe. I hope this finds you having an absolutely beautiful day. Thank you.